Hello. So we're back with names have been censored to protect the guilty. Man, it's been a while. So where did we leave off? Um, yes, it was that incident. So after that incident, basically things were kind of quiet. It was awkward. I kind of just did the housewife thing and I took care of the kids, and yeah, we didn't really talk much. He tried a little bit to make it up to me, I guess, in his own stupid way. I wasn't buying it, obviously. I can't say I was like mean to him or anything, but I was very much, I kind of stayed to myself, like I was just really reserved. I didn't want to talk about it. The relationship turned into this weird, like, we're just roommates who happen to have a couple of kids. I would just talk to him whenever I needed to talk to him when it had to do with the kids, or yeah, I was fed up. I hated him for what he did. I hated him for putting us in a situation where the girls had to step in and rescue me, basically. I think that's what bothered me the most, was the fact that he didn't care. He didn't care that the girls were in the next room. He didn't care that this would hurt them almost as much or maybe even more than it hurt me. He just wanted to assert his dominance, I guess. Yeah, he lost it. He lost it, and I can honestly say it, from that point on, he lost me. I didn't really want to be in that relationship anymore, and yeah, it just kind of sucked. However, so that was 2001, and a few months after that happened was 9/11. Obviously. I lost a really good friend of mine, probably one of the only people that really showed any kind of interest to reach out and see how it was doing. He was kind of, I wouldn't say like the nucleus of like our friend group at the time, but he was a big part of it. He contributed a lot to our friend group, and when we lost him, yeah, it kind of broke us as a friend group. Dealing with that was really hard. I think the one thing that really got to me, especially, was that the previous year I had gone back home to Peru with my mom and my two girls. I had gotten into the local like bands that were popular that year. And when I got back, he had asked me to let him borrow one of my CDs that I had gotten there from this band that I really loved. And I kept forgetting. Yeah. Every week he would be like, "Oh, don't forget to bring me the CD." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I keep forgetting. I'm sorry." And yeah, he never got to hear it. After he passed, there was this one song from that same band that really resonated with me. It talked about, losing someone. Yeah, I think I played that song for 2 years straight and just, thought about my friend who was a really great guy, and he was only 24 years old when he died in the towers. But yeah, so that was that year. Yeah, the following year, so 2002, is when I got my first office job, right? A receptionist at a construction company. And yeah, I did that for about a year and a half, I want to say. Probably close to 2 years. And it was good, because it gave me a sense of value, I guess, in his eyes. Working, I think it was like 7:30 to 4:30 every day, being in a place where he really couldn't reach me for 8 to 9 hours a day was nice. It was kind of a vacation, to be honest. Obviously, though, he wanted to make sure that he could contact me if anything. And of course, my oldest was in school, my youngest was 3 by then, and we got a sitter for her to be able to be reached in case anything happened with my daughter. So for the first time ever, he got me a cell phone. Honestly, I didn't want one because I knew that that would just be another excuse for him to like make sure that he could keep tabs on me. I didn't want a cell phone, but he got it for me. And, you know, whatever. I didn't really use it. I went to work, went home, and that was it, so there was no real reason for me to use that cell phone. Yeah, I guess there was some drama with me working. Obviously, we would have arguments here and there where make some stupid remark like, "Oh, you think because you make money now that you're hot shit or whatever," and I would just ignore it, like whatever, dude. However, in keeping with his MO, I didn't have a bank account of my own separately from him. So, I think I talked about this. We had a joint bank account. So, of course, my salary would be direct deposited into the joint bank account. He would only let me take out enough for, my bus fare and lunch for the week, and that was it. The rest he claimed would be going to the babysitter to pay for the babysitter because that was the deal that he made with me. Couldn't take this job unless my salary would pay for the babysitter. So essentially, I was working for free, but I didn't care at the time because it got me away from him. And it was actually a friend from church a friend of his actually from church that got me the job. And there was some drama there because, obviously you're working with a bunch of people. I made some friends, and there was one guy, I think he was like the warehouse manager or something like that. And like we were really good friends. We'd go to lunch together every so often, and he was so jealous of him. So jealous of him. Like asking me questions all the time, asking me, "Oh, what do you guys do when you go to lunch?" Blah blah blah. Whatever. I was over it. I just would ignore every single one of his questions and just like, bro, I just want to be away from you. Like, honestly. However, he did not even so much as like suspect the fact that his friend, the one the one that got me that job in the first place, he was the one that was flirting with me. Yeah, I thought that was funny. Yeah, so during the time that I was working at that job, he his brother, I think, was living in, I'm not sure if he was living in Virginia or Maryland, one of those states at the time, Maryland, and had told him that, the police academy was, or the police department down there was hiring. And the big selling point was that he didn't need a college degree, or an associate's degree rather, because in New York City, you do. You need to have at least 60 credits or an associate's degree to join the police force. In Maryland, you don't, or at least in Baltimore, which is where his brother was living. So at some point, I think he took a trip down to visit his brother, took the exam, and passed. So in, I want to say 2003. Yeah, in 2003, he decided that he wanted to go for it. And he just said, yeah, this is happening and we're moving to Maryland. And I was iffy about it. When he decided to move to Connecticut, I hated it. I did not want to go. I was like, oh, this is going to suck. I don't have a car, blah, blah, blah. I can't drive, whatever. But when we moved to Maryland, I don't know. I feel like we had visited a few times and I liked the area. It was nice. Baltimore, I guess, like Baltimore City, right? It was okay. Baltimore County, I mean, it was, just like every other area in the country. It's all kind of the same, big malls and apartment complexes and cookie cutter houses. So yeah, I mean, I didn't mind it, but I didn't want to leave, especially because I had just gotten this job. Well, not just, but I had been working at this job for a year and a half and I liked it there. I liked my job. I liked that I was learning, how to manage a business but at the same time, I was like, I mean, maybe if he's happy, then we'll be happier together. I think that's what was going through my head. So yeah, I reluctantly followed and we moved to Baltimore. My friend at work was really pissed. He obviously didn't like my husband because he knew, that he was a jerk. And he was pissed at me for moving to Maryland and, quote unquote, leaving him there by himself. He got pissed at me and he was like, oh, so you just do whatever he says and you just go. I'm like, what do you want me to do? Like, I mean, we're married, right? And we have 2 kids. So the alternative would have been for me to keep the pretty expensive apartment that we had that I couldn't afford to pay for on my own unless I got a second job. And then, what do I do with my kids, right? So I tried it out. I mean, can't say I was optimistic, but I figured I'll try to find a job over there. I'll learn to drive and I'll go. Yeah, so I guess this is the last entry that I wrote in this journal. It was right before we moved to Maryland. So yeah, for context. I skipped over a bunch of stuff that not really relevant. It's just, I just gave you a summary of what that was. But yeah, this is the last entry of this journal. So I'll just read it to you. Okay. Of all the memories I have collected in my head over the years, I think the memories I am creating now have been happiest of all in terms of good things that have happened to me personally. I know it sounds funny, but I think I'm going through a selfish period in my life. But I think it's about time, don't you? All my life I've thought about everyone else but myself, always worrying how everyone else feels, what everyone else wants, needs, or thinks, then compromising everything I feel, want, need, or wish for in order to make everyone else happy. Well, it's about time I were happy. This is my time now. My turn to get what I want. How do I do this? How do I leave him? After all we've been through, all we've meant to each other, should I give it another chance? Should I go along for the ride? I have 2 options. I could stay behind and end everything we've tried to prove, or I can give it one more chance. Go back to my writing and try to go back to school. And then, only then, will I choose whether or not to stay. If it doesn't work, or if it turns out to be a repeat of Connecticut, then I'll end it for good. I think that sounds like a good plan, don't you? After one of his many macho fits of making decisions for me, I heard someone had said that if he keeps up the way he is, he's going to end up losing me to someone who treats me better, or I'm just going to end up leaving him. Because he deprives me of too much and I'm still young with a lot going for me. The sad thing is, I know they're right. Is it really possible for someone to change after years of going about things the wrong way and getting away with it? I used to think so. I'm not so sure anymore. Don't get me wrong. He has improved much, but when all is said and done, he's still the same old person. Why do we human beings take advantage of each other and take each other for granted? Why does everyone I meet take advantage of me and take me for granted? Even my best friend in the whole world has taken me for granted. And of course, I'm the idiot that lets them. It happens the same way every time, too. I meet someone really great. I do everything in the world to show them I'm here for them whenever they need me. And no matter what, I try to keep that promise. But then, after a period of calling them without ever receiving a call from them, or setting up get togethers that they can never make, or emailing them and never receiving a response, I then realize that the same thing that has happened to me in every relationship, be it friendship or romantic, is happening yet again. Why? Because I'm an idiot. That's why. How many times does the same thing have to happen to me before I realize that people are shit, and even my children will one day turn their backs on me and forget about me? Not because they don't love me, but because I'm just that easily forgotten. You know how when people are asking if they had a superpower, they usually say they wish they were invisible? Not me. The worst thing in the world is to be invisible. I should know. Right now, I'm the most invisible person on the planet. I can't be seen by anyone that matters, at least not to me anyway. And you know what's worst of all? The fact that it took becoming invisible to realize that I don't take care of myself as much as I should. Actually, it took a real friend to point it out to me. Well, this is it. I'm moving to Maryland. I really don't want to go, but my girls are crazy about the idea. If I stay, I have nothing or no one to stay for. What would be the point of staying if I wanted to? When he broke the news to me, I couldn't believe it. I have to admit, I'm scared of going, but I also feel like this time will be different from when we moved to Connecticut. Hopefully, that's a good thing. So, yeah, we moved. He joined the academy, and it sucked. It really sucked. I mentioned in this entry that, he's gotten better. He had, tiny bit, but whatever improvement he made as a person, joining the academy really just erased it, just washed it all away. It was like whatever motivated him to be a narcissist doubled, tripled even. And I spent the next year pretty much crying every single day. When we first got there, actually, let me check these entries because this is another long one. So this is the first entry I did when we moved to Maryland. It's probably a couple of months after we moved, just because, obviously we were moving. So, yeah, I'll just read it. Okay. Someone shoot me now. So now I understand what they mean by being stuck between a rock and a hard place. On the one hand, I have my husband. He is driving me crazy. I mean, really crazy. To the point where I want to scream. I don't know if it's because I don't spend enough time with him or if I spend too much time with him now. I can't tell if he's always done these things that bother me so very much now, or if it's just that I have lost my patience and ultimately my tolerance for them. But one thing is for sure, I need out. One way or another, I need a vacation from everything around me. It's horrible to say this out loud, I know. But he's driving me crazy, and I feel I've used up all the patience I had for my kids, just trying to deal with him. I hate myself for that. I find myself snapping at them for things that really aren't all that bad. But he just has me so stressed. For one, he's always sleeping. And I know he's always been known to fall asleep everywhere he goes, but now it's like he can't even stay awake for a commercial. He claims the academy makes him really tired, but yet he refuses to go to bed. I can't stand the sight of him lying on the couch. It irritates me to the point that I just see him dozing off and I get upset. If he had any consideration for anything or anyone ever in his life, it's gone. Because now it seems to be that he is the only person allowed to speak, have an opinion, come up with a topic to speak of, plan anything, be tired, be hungry, be sleepy, or even be sick or hurt in any way. If I mention I have a headache, he has a migraine. If I say I'm tired, he worked his ass off that day. If my back aches, he hurt his during training. If I cough, he sneezes. I can't win. Everything I do or have, he has it 10 times worse or did it 10 times better. And that's not all. No. To top it off, if I did the laundry today, he says the carpet needs vacuuming. If I clean the kitchen, the living room is a mess. Or if I fix the living room, I didn't do the dishes or clean the stove. If I think I did everything there is to do in the house, all he sees is that I didn't make the bed or the kids' bed, or there was one toy on the floor or a book bag or a speck of lint on his freaking jacket. Anything to prove I didn't do my quote unquote job. Never do I hear so much as a thank you or don't worry, baby, I'll do this or that. Why, you ask? Because I'm shit till I have a job. In other words, he needs to see money to respect anyone, especially me. Forget about it. Unless I have a job, I'm a piece of shit. And get this, I went to the doctor the other day and she told me, in her doctorly way, that I have depression. No shit. So I tell him, and do you think he so much as asked why, or even so much as thought that maybe it had anything to do with him? No. He just brushed it off like I had never even said it. Why? Because deep down inside, he knows it all goes back to the way he treats me. Like a piece of shit. And so, of course, I feel like one. But it can't be his fault. It's mine. Because I'm the bitch. I'm the one with the attitude when all he does is yell for every stupid little thing I do or say, or the kids do or don't do for that matter. If he doesn't like it, approve, or want it, he just yells. But I'm the bitch. And I start to think that maybe it is my fault. Maybe I should be more patient, more tolerant. Maybe I should change my attitude or look at things in a different light. But then I slap myself for being so stupid. I mean, why should I always be the one to change? Why am I always the one who needs to understand him? Why do I have to listen or care if he's never even shown the slightest bit of effort to do the same for me? But me, like the idiot that I am, I try to keep everything to myself. Why? So we don't fight. But we fight anyway. So what's the fucking point? So again, I say, not because I can't stand him or this place or anything around me. I say it because I have no way out without it being my fault. And then, of course, my parents will only be on my ass and everyone will say, there goes that bitch that left her husband for no reason whatsoever. But they don't know what I go through, and they'll never know. Unless I tell them everything he's done and continues to do. But even then, I know they'll never understand. Why? Because to everyone, he is this great guy that everyone loves, and I'm the bitch that no one knows or understands at all. And I'm the sociopath that keeps to herself, the quiet one that no one cares to associate with, his wife. Never just me. Very few people know me for who I am and who I can be without him influencing their opinions in any way. One of them, of course, is my friend, which, by the way, I haven't been able to speak to for quite some time now. But no matter what happens, I'm afraid I'll be hurting him. It's almost impossible to keep any friendship with him by my side. I hate that about him. Everyone that has ever been close to me, he pushes away. I even think he had something to do with my friend not talking to me for a while, not so long ago. I'm sick of him doing that. I'm sick of living my life by his rules. We've always done everything he wanted. But do you think he so much as asked what we want? No. My kids and I? No. Because he thinks he knows what we want. He thinks he can buy our love or pay for his lack of it. Anytime I ask him if he knows what I want, he immediately says a house or some other material thing that I'm not going to lie, I wouldn't mind receiving, but it's always the last thing on my list. What I want is someone that's going to hear me and not just shut me up. Someone who's actually going to listen. Someone that isn't going to ask me every holiday or birthday what I want. Someone that already knows what to get me and gets it a week in advance. Someone that thinks about me not only when I'm around, but when I'm not there, and calls me right the second that they were thinking of me. Someone who lets me choose where we should go out to eat without making a face or saying it's too expensive, or taking me to the movies at night and not having to catch a matinee because they wouldn't think of spending a little extra on me. Someone who knows how I like my popcorn and what I like to drink. Someone who knows that I like it when they walk next to me and not in front of me, rushing to get to the seat that they like. Someone that will hold the door for me. Someone that knows exactly when and how to cheer me up. Someone who knows what to say to make me feel loved, appreciated, important, happy. Someone who knows that sometimes I just need a hug and a shoulder to cry on. Someone who cares if I have a headache. Someone who will tuck me into bed and bring me chicken soup when I'm sick. Someone who will take the time to look into my eyes and tell me they love me. Someone who will bring me a gift for no reason at all. Someone who will care what my kids have to say and know what their favorite color or food or book is. Someone who cares. So, like I said, that was a long one. This was a couple of months after we had moved, and he just became completely impossible. And at this point, I hadn't gotten a job yet, because I believe, if I remember correctly, we moved there in October, and then in December is when I got my driver's license. I actually drove down to, or took the bus down to New York, or up to New York, to get my license there. And then I was able to, drive one of the two cars that he had. Yeah, he had two cars for the longest, and I didn't have my license, and he did not care to even so much as try to teach me how to drive. I had to pay for lessons myself. Yep. But he had two cars, claiming that one of them would be mine. Of course, the older one, right? Yeah. So, in December, I think I finally got my license. And then in January, I was looking for a job, after the holidays and stuff like that. It wasn't pleasant. And I can't say that I absolutely regretted moving to Maryland. Like I said, it was a lot different from Connecticut. I was not in the middle of nowhere. I was still able to at least, there was more to do around there. The Baltimore City was nearby. The harbor was nice. I loved the harbor. I still do. There was family, his family, but, there was family there. So it's not like we were completely alone. His brother lived there. I think the following year, his mom and nieces and nephews moved down too. So there was a lot going on, but nothing that had anything to do with me or my life, right? It was all him. My life was completely centered around him, as it had always been, obviously. But yeah, it wasn't boring. I wasn't stuck in the house all day, every day. But, at least I thought that home life would be different, even though the outside world was different. We had gotten involved in the church down there as well, so that kind of distracted me. The people were nice there too. They were friendlier. They seemed to care a little more. Yeah, they were a little more friendly. They would reach out more. They would, actually, they would ask me how I'm doing and then actually listen. So that was nice that, I felt a little more seen, right? Did I make friends there? I guess I did. I was friendlier to people because they were friendlier to me. I don't remember anyone's names there though. So I guess, I didn't really make significant friends. I'm very hard to make friends. Like, it's very hard for me to make friends because I don't know. I'm quiet. Like, unless I have something to say, I'm not going to say anything. I mind my business, I say that at work all the time. They're always like, oh, you're so quiet. Like, because, mind my business. Maybe I'm not friendly. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know how long I've been doing this. Yeah. So what did I learn? I guess. What did I learn here? Yeah, I remember this. I remember this time period. Eventually, I think I did get a job there. I mean, obviously I did. I got a few jobs there. It took a while before I could find the right fit. This is 2003, right? So back 20 years ago, employment agencies actually did their jobs. So my dad had suggested that I go to an employment agency, and I found one nearby, and I did, and I went, and this is after I got my license, right? So I managed to go find a pretty decent employment agency. They were really thorough as far as like, what I was looking for and what my experience was. Luckily, I had worked in an office management-ish setting for a little over a year and a half. So I had that going for me. What did I learn here? I mean, I guess you can tell by the way I'm writing. Yeah, I was frustrated. I was trying really hard to make this move something positive. Like I said, I was hoping that if he was happy doing what he always dreamed of doing, that he would be more pleasant to be around. And that was not the case. And I think that's what pissed me off the most. The fact that, dude, you are literally living your dream right now and you're still not fucking happy. Like, what is it? If I had gotten my dream job or was in the process of getting my dream job, I would have been so happy, you know? And I have been in that situation and I've been ecstatic, but this guy was literally living his dream, and he was miserable. Like, it almost seemed that he didn't think that it would actually be work. He didn't think that he would actually have to work towards this position, because you're in the academy. You're technically still not guaranteed to join the police force. You have to pass all these tests. And he did not like that. As a narcissist, obviously, he did not like the fact that they didn't just hand him this job. He resented the fact that he had to prove himself. And I think that's what happened. That's why he was so miserable at home, because, he thought it would be easy. He thought it was going to be, yeah, here I am, give me the job. No. So that obviously that resentment of his spilled over into our home life. And as I mentioned here, it got to me so much that I could tell that I was taking it out on my kids, and I hated him for that. I hated the fact that I was so frustrated with him that I had no patience left over for my kids. Yeah, it sucked. Anyway, I don't know what else to say. I think I've been doing this for long enough. Yeah, I guess that's the video. If you're out there, if you're watching this and you have questions about narcissism or whatever, again, I am not a therapist. Have no degree in this. All I have is my experience. So I'm open to any questions you guys have when it comes to, you know, what I did to get out and what I've been going through to heal from this. I hope to get to that part soon, but I just wanted to make sure that everyone knew what I was going through. But yeah, hopefully when this series is over, I will start a new series and talk about my healing journey. Yeah, I hope this was helpful. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something good out of this, learned something new if, you know, you didn't relate to it. But yeah, that's it. That's the video, and see you next time. Bye.